back, guys. Today I'm going to be showing you how to put a oil pan on your 460 when you have a girdle on it. Kind of have to do some modifications. We're also going to be sliding the camshaft in and starting to get the valve train all put together. We're going to be showing you how to make sure that your valves clear your pistons and everything. And so let's get to it. So we're going to get started here by starting to clean the camshaft off. It's kind of got this stuff on it from when they shipped it, so we want to make sure we get that all off, and then we'll go through and start looping it up with our assembly loop. Alright, here we go. You just want to make sure you get some of the lube on there real good before you slide it in here. Make sure you get plenty on there. No such thing as too much. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to get our deck surface all clean so that we can put our head gasket on there and start putting our head on so we can check our valves. I didn't have bolts short enough to put on the thrust plate, so we're going to have to wait on that for the camshaft. And and after we get this all clean, we'll put our Play-Doh on here and start putting the studs in. Alright, so we got all of our head studs in. Before we slip our head gasket on here, I'm going to put our Play-Doh onto the piston. We do this so that we can see how close the valves are getting to the pistons, and make sure that they're not going to hit. So what we gotta do now is we gotta take these valve springs off here, and we gotta put on these valve springs for testing, so that we can check our push rod length and everything like that without putting all our stress on everything else. We use this to take it off.
Can I help you?
Wait. That don't work. Okay, so it turns out there's two different sizes. Short ones and long ones. Long ones go on the bottom, short ones go on the top. Now we know. Now we'll take our assembly lube from ARP. So, and for the instructions for putting on the head studs, it says to do 3 steps up to 140 foot-pounds. So we're going to start with 60, then do 100, and then do 140 for our final foot. You're going to start from the inside here and work your way up. All done with a 60, now we'll move up to our 100. 1200. Now we'll do 140. There we go, all torqued down now. Finally got our bolts for our cam thrust plate. These are 1/4 inch bolts, 1/2 inch long. And I just got a little lock washer on there. Gonna put a little bit of Loctite on it. We got the end of our cam all lubed up so that it's not gonna be going dry on there. These get torqued 9 to 10 foot-pounds. And there we go. Alright, now for this next part here, I'm going to show you how to find the length of your new push rods with the bigger can that we are installing. And then I'll be showing you how to set your rockers on this too. So I got my lifters here soaking in oil. Take these, plop them down in. Slide in our push rod. I just use a dry erase marker. Put it on the valve. Cover the tip of it just like that. Slide on your rocker. And kind of just screw this on so as you can see here, you can see how our rocker is sitting against the valve there. You see how it's kind of right in the middle? What you can do is you can adjust the length of that push rod and it will move from side to side on that valve. As you see here, if I screw it in a whole bunch, it moves forward up there on the valve. And then if I screw it out, kind of moves towards the back of the valve. So you're just gonna kind of play with it until you get it looking right there on the center. Now that we got that centered looking, we'll pull this off. Cover our valve with our dry erase marker. Start setting our rocker back up. And now that we got it looking like we think we have it in the center, what we'll do is as you're tightening this part right here, you're gonna move your push rod and just kind of wiggle it until you feel it just barely touch. And then after you do that, you're gonna wanna do a 1/2 to 3/4 of a revolution. So 3/4. And then we're gonna Now none of it moves. I do not have my camshaft hooked up to the crankhead with the timing chain, so I can just spin it by hand because I got these other ball springs in there. Just kind of spin it over a couple times. I'll take it off. As you can see, the little mark there on the valve is right in the center. Just how you want it. So now we will be sliding on our timing chain. Here on my crank gear here, it's got a circle, a triangle, and a square. Basically what those different things mean is this is right where they made it to be. This is 4 degrees advanced, and this is 4 degrees retarded. We're going to be putting it right on the circle today. Give it a little tap. Got a little blue Loctite on our bolt here. And then this gets torqued 40 to 45 foot-pounds. Okay, we got our timing chain on, got our rocker arm on, all ready to see if our valves are, how close our valves are going to get to the piston. So now we're just going to simply just turn it over. And wait until that rocker squishes down. And be careful just in case it is going to be the thing that you're going to hit. Don't want to be pushing on that too hard. Alrighty, and we went through it there. Now what we gotta do is we gotta pull the head back off, look at our Play-Doh, and see how close we got. So one thing about these timing covers is when you order them from Summit, they do not come with a dipstick tube in case if you have a 460 where the dipstick comes out of the oil pan. But if you have the valve cover style or want to do the valve cover style, you will need this tube here. So all this is just another tube. I think it's like 20 bucks or something like that. And all you do is just slide it right down in there. Install. Alright guys, now we're going to get started on the oil pan here. Kind of a little more tricky trying to find one that fits a girdle and that fits into a two-wheel drive 78 with the rear sump. I wanted to change to that just because I feel like it'll be better for the truck. The only problem with this one so far is this lip right here hits on the girdle, so what we're going to do is we're just going to cut that off. Alrighty, got our flap all cut off there. Used about 37 gallons of brake clean, got her all cleaned up. Let's see if she finally fits now. That's further than we've gotten before. So it looks like hitting in the front up here on something, the back all lines up good. Alright, so what's going on is we're hitting on the girdle right here. Kind of have to figure out what we're going to do there. All I got to say is, don't buy this girdle. Get the Trick Flow one. I feel like it'll save you a ton of time on 100 different things. So let's get this figured out. Alright, so what we're going to do to get this figured out and where we got to adjust this at, we're just going to take some of this lube stuff here we got. Put it along here. And we'll touch it to the oil pan and see where it hits. Yeah, that didn't really work, honestly. Put more on. Alright, so we can kind of see it's mainly hitting right there. So what we'll do is we'll heat that up and just hit it a little bit right there. I'm going to try just hitting this first, kind of see how that goes. Well, I broke the cam stand, so we're going freehand here. Now that we got that cut off and did a little bit of hammering job there, the oil pan now fits. And the next hand task here is getting this thing bolted on. As you can see, the original mounting mounted to the stud there, and since we have the girdle on here, that's not going to be an option for us. And you can see it sits too high there. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut this down and flip it around so that it bolts on right about here. And we're going to cut this down so that the height fits right with the oil pump too. Alright, so we got this bolted up on here. We got this cut off and ground down just a little bit. You can see we don't got it quite enough to where we can go up under it yet, so we're going to grind just a tad more off of there. And then you can see if we just weld it on there like that, this will be hanging way out here. So we're going to set it like that. Then we're going to go ahead and make a mark on here and get that cut down. Out for your hot metal machine. Perfect. Got our piece all marked up here. Got it all bolted on there, so make sure it lines up good. Everything fits good now. Got a little mark on here so we can make sure that we place it in the right spot when we go to weld it, so it's nice and flush with here. Just looks good. And after we get this welded on, we'll get to getting our hole drilled and tap right there. When it holds the snow, you know you're somewhat alright. Got her all welded up here. Had some miscalculation, but hey, that's why it's on the inside of the motor, because you can't see it. So, all we gotta do now is we gotta get a center punch our hole out there, drill and tap it, and then we can bolt all this together. Got our hole drilled and tapped here, got our bolts in it. These are 5/16 bolts. We torque these down, it says 12 to 18 foot-pounds. I just used a 1/4 inch bolt right here. I torqued this down to about 10 foot-pounds. Now we're gonna get ready to put our oil pan on. So I like using these newer style oil pan gaskets. They come with the kits on the 90s motors. The only problem is the newer timing covers have smaller bolt holes here. So when you get your new gasket here, the hole for this is smaller, so you have to drill it out to match it. Other than that though, they work out pretty good. I like it a lot better than having the whole cork here and then rubber here, and those ones are just a pain. I say just leave that alone, drill these out and put these in. Alright guys, we got our 4 holes drilled out. One right there, one there, one here, and one here. Now we're all ready to put the oil pan on. So, got our oil pan all installed guys. One thing that kind of helped me was loosening up this timing cover a little bit. Helped me with getting in these front bolts here. They're a little bit of a struggle, but we got them all in. Now we're going to flip it over and start getting the intake bolted down. So we got all of our rockers, lifters, and push rods put in. I got them all adjusted the way I showed you guys how to do that earlier. We went ahead and got our intake manifold bolted on. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to start priming up the oil system. We need to plug off this port back here for now, because that is a pressure sensor right there for the oil. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get a 5/16 socket with an extension, put it on our oil dry shaft, put it on a drill, spin it around, and wait till we see oil coming out of everywhere and make sure everything's going to look good. Alright guys, I had to kind of set the camera down and get going on it because I got to bring it up to the shop tomorrow. But we got the valve covers all on, got the headers on, distributors all in. Kind of went through and wrapped the rest of it up. Now we're just trying to figure out how to get it into the truck.